So insane visuals are coming out from California, particularly from the city of Los Angeles, where large-scale protests erupted following a series of immigration enforcement raids. The situation quickly escalated, leading to violent clashes between protesters and federal agents. Tear gas, rubber bullets, and even flashbang grenades were reportedly used. The streets turned into a war zone, and now the U.S. government is preparing to deploy the National Guard. So let's understand in simple terms what is happening in Los Angeles, how this started, and what the implications are for immigration enforcement, civil liberties, and the U.S. political landscape. Let's break it down step by step. In the past few days, immigration agents conducted aggressive raids across multiple locations in Los Angeles, detaining over 100 undocumented immigrants. But as you know, this process is never going to be easy. Millions of illegal immigrants are living in the U.S., and the state of California is like an epicenter for these illegal immigrants. So after immigration enforcement started doing their job, protests erupted in several parts of the city, including Paramount, a suburb located about 20 miles from downtown Los Angeles. Federal agents in full riot gear clashed with protesters near a Home Depot in a largely Latino neighborhood. Tear gas and rubber bullets were used to disperse crowds. Here you can see in this clip how Border Patrol personnel are wearing gas masks and preparing themselves to control the violent situation. On the roads, many were seen pouring milk on their faces to reduce the effects of pepper spray and regrouping to continue. According to officials, some demonstrators attempted to break into the Roybal Federal Building after rumors spread that law enforcement was holding families in detention at a federal building. Meanwhile, in downtown LA, protesters vandalized vehicles and threw objects at ICE agents. Here you can see in this clip how this protester is throwing glass bottles at federal agents' vehicles. Well, this guy will be arrested soon, or maybe already is. Now, to fully understand this issue, we need to look at the background. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, is a federal agency responsible for enforcing immigration laws. It often conducts operations to arrest undocumented immigrants and initiate deportation proceedings. Such actions are always controversial. Under the Trump administration, its mandate has expanded significantly, with recent reports suggesting a goal to detain 3,000 immigrants per day. However, many U.S. cities, including Los Angeles, are sanctuary cities, meaning local law enforcement agencies do not cooperate with ICE in matters of civil immigration enforcement. This policy dates back decades and is intended to encourage undocumented immigrants to report crimes without fear of deportation. And now the problem is that these immigrants, or illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them, have been settled there for decades. Some have even spent 50 years of their life there. The best solution for this would have been to not let any immigrant enter the U.S. in the first place. But somehow the government from both sides allowed them in, and now things are not working. So ultimately, it's not going to be easy for any administration, whether Republican or Democrat, to remove these people. Now, if someone wants to use an iron fist policy, then that's a different issue. But again, international pressure, a lot of media attention. Racism is already a hot topic in the U.S., so things are complicated. In fact, Jim McDonnell, the LA police chief, reiterated that his department does not assist with civil immigration operations. These events have sparked strong reactions from both sides. California Governor Gavin Newsom condemned the immigration raids and the arrest of David Huerta, a prominent labor leader who allegedly blocked a federal vehicle. On the other hand, Kristi Noem, U.S. Homeland Security Secretary, warned protesters against obstructing federal agents, calling it a federal crime. Stephen Miller, a senior White House official, went so far as to describe the protests as a violent insurrection. Federal authorities have accused the Los Angeles Police Department of delaying their response, with ICE officials claiming it took them over 2 hours to act when the federal building was surrounded. The LA Police Department also responded by saying they were not involved in the operation and reaffirmed their decades-old policy of not enforcing civil immigration laws. So right now, the situation is very tense in Los Angeles. People are roaming around on bikes and in cars, waving flags of different nations. A large-scale crowd is gathering around the city. Vandalism of public property is happening. Reports of large-scale robbery are also coming in. So things are not good right now. Thomas Homan, a top immigration advisor, stated that the National Guard was being mobilized. President Trump is busy watching a UFC fight, but somehow he also responded to the situation. And I guess you all know pretty much what his response was. President Trump said if Governor Gavin Newsom of California and Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles can't do their jobs, then the federal government will step in and solve the problem. Well, this is not the first time such protests have occurred in California. But the situation is so severe that the FBI also jumped into the matter. The Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, warned that active-duty Marines could be deployed on American soil if necessary. So, this is becoming very serious. I wouldn't call it a civil war, but definitely, things are concerning. In the future, it will become even more concerning as more raids occur and immigration crackdowns intensify, which will trigger immediate and passionate responses from communities, labor unions, and immigrant advocacy groups. Now reports are also coming in that martial law could be applied by the U.S. administration if these protests don't stop quickly. This incident also highlights the ongoing power struggle between federal authorities and local governments in the U.S., a constitutional issue that goes beyond just immigration. So what does all this mean? Tensions between ICE and sanctuary cities are at an all-time high. Civil liberties and the use of force by federal agents are now under scrutiny. With the 2026 elections approaching, both parties are using this issue to mobilize their voter base. Whether this strategy will lead to a more secure border or simply more unrest is something the U.S. will have to watch closely. So ultimately, this issue is going to turn into a bigger fire, and the world will see how the U.S. responds. At last, what do you think about this situation? Were the U.S. government's actions justified, or do the protesters have a point? Thank you for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day.